Hi, everybody. Okay, I am very late. We are on turbo time. Time is going so fast. Um, and I need to come on during the day. I really do need to just make time to come on during the day, twice a day. Late at night, during the day, or in the morning. I see some other podcasters doing that, and I understand why now. Especially right now when so much is going on. And the whole case, our whole son's case, has shifted with the letters, not one, but two letters on, well, they're dated August 6th and August 7th, 2025. They came in the mail August 11th and August 12th, 2025. Very happy days for us. Very happy days moving forward in alliance with President Trump now. And well, we've always been in alliance with President Trump. This just is public display of our alliance with President Trump. We always knew that this had to be an alliance with President Trump, not really for political reasons, even though we are in agreement with him politically, but really because he was the target. He was the target in of the Walmart mass shooting and in our son's case and in so much going on at the border. Um, they were absolutely he was their threat. He was their arch enemy because he was trying to get law and order like he has now, law and order at the border to stop the criminal trafficking, to stop the corpse trafficking, to stop the trafficking, to stop the child trafficking, to stop the weapon smuggling and trafficking and the ammunition trafficking and all the equipment and everything trafficking, but also because of contracts. He knows contracts really well. He knows building contracts really well. And that is a huge threat to someone that has over priced their building contracts, right? That is a real threat. When you have someone that comes in that knows construction, that knows the prices of constructing large buildings, housing for military, for camps, for um, anything, schools. When you have someone like President Trump, who his whole business has been building and making deals for the cost of building and being under budget and on time, um, faster than time, right? And being under budget. He knows the price of everything. And so, um, he's a real threat to someone that likes to overcharge, that likes to be a fraudster, that likes to make their billions on, on government contracts. So, absolutely, we have known that President Trump has been the target for destruction, in this case and the Walmart case and so many, the Russia, which is connected to the individuals there um, that are staunchly against President Trump. He really puts a damper on their fraud. He really puts a damper on their criminal network. He really does. And that has become very, very clear to us in these 5 years of investigating. Um, we've investigated President Trump too, and he comes out stellar. We've investigated our own son, and he comes out stellar. And now President Trump, the stellar President Trump, who they've tried to do everything to, try to call him everything, try to pin a label on him, just like they tried to do that to Richard. They tried to pin him with everything they could to discredit him. And they come out stellar, shining like stars, right? And now President Trump is cooperating, not only cooperating, but putting it in national record that Richard is a hero, that he is the best that of the American spirit, that he surpassed his duty, and of course he is worthy of every respect from Americans, and so it is um, it is just amazing to start putting all of this stuff together because when you have something like that on national record that confirms after reviewing all of the intelligence, right? After reviewing all of the evidence, and to get not one but two letters confirming that we've been right all along, that everything that we're doing is right all along, that we're right over the target, that we know exactly what we're doing, and that we should absolutely keep pursuing justice in our son's case and pursuing our son's remains. And that's, really been the main um, purpose right now, because we've had to spend a lot of these years investigating to find out who's who, right? Who's who and who comes out stellar. And I can tell you right now, it's President Trump and it's Richard Halliday that comes out stellar. Absolutely. So we have breaking news, really breaking news that we want to share with everybody on this day 1843. It is August 19th, 2025. And we have so much information. One, that there is this presupposition or this, I think it is a training. I think it is a mind training. There's a lot of hypnosis kind of mind training. I don't know if hypnosis is the right word for it. People call it MK Ultra. I don't know really about MK Ultra, but people have been writing me for 5 years about MK Ultra, and I don't know much about it. I know that Patrick Crucius's father was really into mind control. I know that several people in these cases are into mind control. And in the military, of course, I'm sure of it, that they have researched mind control. I call it those squiggly eyes. I call it hypnosis. Um, when you're just so gripped with fear for something that you have zero risk of it even hurting you. Remember 2020, the military, they had zero risk, and they were absolutely put on shutdown. They were just made to be so afraid to, it was just absolutely um terrible leadership during that time. I just, um, yeah, these generals. And the thing is that a lot of these individuals that were pushing for all this shutdown and this fear mongering and everything were out having parties with their groups. But shh, um, so it really was a fraud. It really was a con job, and maybe one day we'll get to the bottom of it all. But it just wasn't, you know, what they were telling us. It was just anyway. We were going back and forth to Juarez, hugging people, and very close proximity to so many people, because we were looking for our son. And unnecessarily, because the military had already collected his remains, right? The FBI had already collected his remains, and we were not told. We were not told, and we believe that they could not do it because it revealed the magnitude of the evil that was perpetrated on our son, and taking of his life, and that they went. There is evidence that they cashed in on him, and there's evidence now that they cashed in on him twice. That they cashed in by impersonating our family to cash in on death benefits, and while trying to mislead us to look the other way, or really misdirect us. And while they were cashing in on him and fudging the records, right? Because the records have absolutely been tampered with and fudged and everything. And then sent partial remains over to be considered a unidentified migrant, so they can collect again through USAID or NGOs or through charitable organizations or something like this. So we just we have that. That's where evidence is taking us, and it's absolutely makes you want to throw up. It's just horrifying, especially when you see the conditions in the Plenitude crematorium that is connected to the government, connected to Bill Hicks, connected to Chihuahua government, connected to Governor Mauro Campos and her mother, Maria Eugenia Galvan, and connected to the funeral home business in El Paso, those that are prime suspects in Richard's case, that have absolutely close proximity to the mortuary operations. I mean, Tavita News says he's a prime suspect, and his brother Solomona News says mortuary operations for U.S. Army a major in the U.S. Army. And it just seemed like this whole group really traffics on and practices fraud when it comes to the corpses of people, that they absolutely commit sacrilege against Corpus Christi, right? Sacrilege against Corpus Christi. And that's absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind. And I don't care if you're religious or not, it's absolutely sacrilege against Corpus Christi. It's written all over our body that it's sacrilege against the human body that is made in the image of God. So this is where all the evidence is taking us, and it gets into the battle of the billionaires, because President Trump was being targeted. Well, who was targeting him, right? Here he is. He's a billionaire. He's a president of the United States. It takes a lot of money to get people to be willing to do things that are so criminal, that are so bloody, but twist and turn the narrative as a fake narrative at that, right? To falsify the narrative in order to make a political attack, right? To create a political attack. That's what was going on. Taking the Walmart mass shooting, bloody disaster, bloody killing, and yet taking that narrative and not telling the truth about what happened, but creating a political hit job against your rival, which is President Trump. And so now, reading all the newspapers and everything, and of course, this has been on our uh, scope for a long time, for many different reasons. Okay, for many different reasons. Um, but this has been, always sitting there festering. One of the reasons is because of Veronica Escobar, because of her participation in the criminal activities going on Fort Bliss, her participation in the criminal activities against us, her targeting us, targeting us to even to the point putting us in danger. Okay, putting us in danger. We'll never forget it. Um, a- and um, and her denying us congressional um, hearings about our son, which is her job to do. Absolutely. Her lack of oversight of the medical examiner, Mario Raskin Ortiz, who handles the death certificates and the judgment of the manner and cause of death, even of U.S. military service members from Fort Bliss, and in conjunction with mortuary operations, which would be Solomon and Nusa, um, eh, and then also her support of Bill Hicks, not being a legitimate DA, being a fake DA, not signing the anti-bribe statement like he should have before he took the oath of office. That's all required by the Texas Constitution. You can't just be voted in and then that's it. There is a process after you're voted in to be installed properly, legally. Sometimes that requires background checks. Sometimes that requires signing a statement of office or an anti-bribe statement saying you were voted in without taking a bribe, and that's what Bill Hicks failed at. Right? There's a lot of other things that you have to do before you take your oath of office, depending on which office you're to be qualified for it and to protect the people. There are in Texas and all over the country, but in Texas, requirements of installation that are outlined by the Texas Constitution, and he didn't follow it, and neither did James Bonneau Montoya. Both of them are rogue DAs, and what does Veronica Escobar do? She allows them to be rogue. She allows the medical examiner to be unqualified and rogue. She allows Manny Chavira, the chief of police of El Paso ISD, to be also a rogue chief of police, an unqualified chief of police. She allows the cartel to insert and infiltrate their people into El Paso, into her district. And so, clearly she's on their side. Clearly she's connected with them. Clearly, she wants this continued criminal trafficking. Clearly, the children, hundreds of thousands of children, um, and then she's connected to um, Biden. She was a co-chair for Biden's campaign. She was a co-chair for Harris' campaign, which is unheard of. Holding the purse for $1.2 billion. So who's giving her this power? She's like really a nobody. I met her twice. She's, Veronica Escobar, mirror, mirror on the wall, kind of who's the fairest of them all, she's not anything, to write home about. I can tell you that right now. She's not impressive at all. Um, and so, um, it raises a lot of red flags. It raises a lot of questions. Who is funding her? And that person is billionaire Woody Hunt. He's the one behind her. And of course, another attacker for us is Bob Moore. Bob Moore of El Paso Matters has just been absolutely horrible, disgraceful. Fake news with a capital F, with a capital N, with explanation points that go on for eternity. He's just absolutely fake news, and he's up to no good. He's up to no good, and El Paso Matters, of course, funded by Texas Tech University Health Science Center. Um, of course, funded by KTEP of UTEP, but also owned and funded by, well, its parent company is El Paso Community Foundation, and El Paso Community Foundation is Woody Hunt. And El Paso Community Foundation, received all of the over $12 million in the Walmart mass shooting victims fund that went into West Star Bank, which is Woody Hunt. So his name has been coming up over and over and over again. Who's behind Beto O'Rourke? That is absolutely targeting President Trump, absolutely leading this um, revolt against the redistricting of Texas, the rightful redistricting of Texas. You know, it's Beto O'Rourke, and who lives next to Beto O'Rourke, the owner of the uh, body dumping, rotting body dumping, narco crematorium Plenitude, Raphael Curan. I really know. I, I hope I say these names right, but I know them clearly on paper, and they're up to no good. And he lives right next to Beto O'Rourke, and Beto O'Rourke, is plays patty fingers with Woody Hunt. So, Woody Hunt's name comes up very often, and, he's a billionaire and he's all about construction and building and profiting off of that. And I mean, it's just like a gold mine to get military industrial complex government contracts for Fort Bliss. It's just, you know, and you saw with the audit with the parade uh, that were being robbed, right? The parade was so impressive because it happened. And, I was contacted by so many people to tell me how horrible the parade was, the military parade in Washington, D.C., that marched in front of President Trump, right? That why would President Trump do that? I mean, it was really something to see. It was just magnificent. It was so magnificent to finally see our military. And it tells you that year after year after year after trillions of dollars spending on our military, it's not what we expected, right? It's not what we expected. We finally got to audit our military. We finally got to audit what we pay for year in and year out. And we got to see our national defense right in front of our eyes. And I'm all for it. I want to see I want to see those military parades. I want to see those planes in the sky. I want to see um I want to see they're capable of, because we pay for it. And so that's what those parades are. You get to inspect what you pay for. And, uh, you know, it wasn't what you thought. It wasn't what you thought. And when you go on to Fort Bliss with all the money that goes on in El Paso, when you go on to Fort Bliss, and of course, I have some videos of Richard's building and everything. It's Let's just say it's not impressive. Okay, it is not impressive, right? And all the weapons and everything on record, there is a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems, and what that shows you, what the inspection shows you, what the numbers show you, is that we have been being robbed. Okay, it's way over budget, way over budget, way beyond the time. We don't get what we are promised for our money, if we get anything. Sometimes we don't get anything. The contracts are not even delivered. They're not even delivered, and they're paid out. It has been a real a real treasure trove for the fraudsters, okay? For the fraudsters. And, people have jumped on board to that because they're like, oh, they're just, all they see, all they care about is the money. right? Is the money. Is the high life. I want the high life. And it requires uh a a a faith in God, in the future, in goodness, in law and order, um, in heaven and in hell, um, in right and wrong. It requires that for us, for someone, for a person to live without being totally controlled by the nose, by a nose ring that has money signs on it. Okay. Um, you know, uh, and of course, Richard was not one of them. I mean, not one of those that are controlled with the ring in their nose. Um, he wasn't controlled by money. I can tell you that right now because that's why he became a whistleblower, because they couldn't compromise him. They couldn't compromise him. He would not go along with the criminal trafficking, the child trafficking, um, the robbing of equipment and um, weapons and ammunition and substances and all kinds of criminal trafficking, right? But the robbing is also in the government contracts. When you don't have to deliver much, you can become a multi-billionaire, and it can get pretty ugly. It can get pretty ugly, and you see, for me anyway, because I love star forts, right? I love star forts, and I love the magnificent old world buildings. Of course, I lived in Europe for so long and loved going to Greece and loved going to Rome and loved going to Berlin. Berlin is a star fort. Paris is a star fort. Copenhagen is a star fort. London is a star fort. And you have these old magnificent buildings that just last and last, and they're just just really, really amazing. And just um, jaw dropping how they're built and how they came to be, and these cathedrals and these Arch of Triumph, and um, it's just the walls surrounding all of it, right? The waterways and everything. It's just magnificent. And I was really privileged to live in Heidelberg for way over 15 years and loved every minute of it. What an amazing, amazing part of the world, right? So, y- you know, what do we get for our contracts, our buildings? We get very minimum. We don't get outstanding. We don't get outstanding. And when you look at Turnberry, um, when you look at which is property of President Trump, when you look at Turnberry, which is in Scotland, what it used to be and what he built, it's just amazing. He gives you something for your money, right? He gives you something for your money. What he has done for the White House, he's building a ballroom. He's paying for it with others' donations. It's just he's going to give you something for your money, right? He's going to make the White House even more beautiful because it'll have a ballroom that it's been wanting for years and years. And so generations to come will be able to enjoy it and benefit from it. And when you look at Mar-Lago, the same thing, people can, it's just amazing. It's just beautiful. And one of magnificent buildings that people might not know of, but in England, it's called Blenheim. In German, it would be called Blenheim. It is the huge house of, um, oh, what is his name from England during World War II? Oh gosh, with the cigar. Anyway, it'll come to me. Churchill. So Churchill's birthplace was Blenheim. Magnificent, magnificent. Go look it up. Churchill was born with about five gold spoons across his mouth. I mean, he's just wow, wowzer. And the history of that place and it coming into his family's ownership is really incredible. Um, it had to do with Spain. It had to do with Spain, believe it or not. But you look at these incredible constructions, and then you go to Fort Bliss, and you see what has been paid out in construction. You have one of the major benefactors of those contractors is Woody Hunt. And you see what we get for it, and you're like, really? Really? We get a sinking hospital or something, or we get what kind of airport do we get, or what kind of military base do we get? I mean, it's like it's not very impressive. I'm just telling you that it's not very impressive, especially when you have all these old world buildings there in El Paso. El Paso is an ancient city. They've been slowly trying to take down. They took down the magnificent courthouse and put up that thing. Um, it's just uh, when you look at the property, it tells you the character of the person, right? The character of the person. And so looking at what Woody Hunt has left behind for all of his billions, right? For all of those billions and all of those contracts that has been given to his companies, it's it doesn't paint a pretty picture of Woody Hunt. He's up to no good. Okay? He's up to no good. It's kind of like Raphael Quran, right? When you look at his crematorium, it's a hellhole. It doesn't paint a pretty picture of the character of Raphael to be extorting people by their loved ones' corpses and remains. And tell them that they're going to make them feel really good and take care of them, and then leave their loved one's body there to rot for years and be eaten through by rats, while giving them um, building mortar left over, right, from maybe one of these building contracts, and putting it in a vase or an urn and giving it to them and collecting money and then laughing to the it shows a real demon, right? It shows a real heckler demon kind of character. And this is the picture that we're seeing from Woody Hunt. It has not been nice at all. It has not been good at all. You know them by their fruit. His fruit seems pretty rotten. Um, when you look at he's funding Veronica Escobar, she's really rotten. He's funding Beto O'Rourke. He's really rotten. So you know them by their fruit, and you see what they've built. You see what they've collected billions and billions. You know that they have connections to. Oh, by the way, he's Mormon. So that's another thing. There's been this common denominator with Connell Witten, the Mormon. Who is he? Who is he loyal to? Is he loyal to the United States of America, to his oath of office, or to Woody Hunt and the Mormon community? Um, So it's all kind of coming together. And now it's about Woody Hunt fighting for this redistricting. And that's the point that I really wanted to make, and I almost forgot. The whole redistricting in Texas, it's being reported. It's not me. It's just I'm telling you what is being reported. It is being reported over and over again that the true reason for this whole hubbub of activity around trying to delay and distract and to deflect and to stop and whatever the redistricting of Texas is to keep Fort Bliss in the hands of Woody Hunt, meaning in the district of Veronica Escobar. So that's the reports that are coming out, and I don't see people really putting it all together like that. But they do. And what's interesting is we remember in 2021 when we were going back and forth from Veronica Escobar, because we knew she was up to no good, and Tony Gonzales. We contacted Tony Gonzales, the congressman, the Republican congressman. I think he's Republican. I don't know. It doesn't matter to us. It's just that he's there, and maybe he would want to help. And he was trying to get. They were trying to redistrict part of Fort Bliss into his district, okay? Give him part so that they would share oversight of Fort Bliss. That would have been really great because Fort Bliss is huge, right? Huge, a lot going on. And it would also give our service members some extra protection from all of the fraud and all of the criminal trafficking and the cartel activity and the cartel infiltration. You would have a little extra because you'd have competing Congress people, looking over Fort Bliss. And we got in touch with him, and we know that he called for an investigation into Woody Hunt and his businesses, right? His contract businesses, his group or whatever you call it, company, his companies. And now, what's being reported now is that Tony Gonzales was calling for a congressional about investigation into Woody Hunt. But that's not what happened in 2021. In 2021, I think that they just didn't report this right lately. What was happening then is he was calling for a criminal investigation into Woody Hunt, okay, and his business dealings on Fort Bliss with housing. There was a big housing using toxic materials to build housing for the troops. So, he was calling for an investigation into Woody Hunt for that. And we know, which is breaking news. I don't know if anyone else knows this, but it has been confirmed to us that Yvonne Rosales, the former district attorney for the 34th Judicial District there in El Paso, absolutely contacted uh, Tony Gonzales to tell him, yes, our office is willing to do an investigation and pursue prosecution of Woody Hunt and his business dealings, his companies, okay, his investments. Um, look into it and everything like that. Uh, the next thing we knew is that nothing happened. Okay, nothing happened. So, I don't know what happened with Tony Gonzalez. I don't know. I know that he is running right now for reelection. I know that they were trying to district Texas Fort Bliss into his district, take it out of the hands of Veronica Escobar, which would have been a very good thing because she's so up to no good. Um, And of course, what Woody Hunt has been giving us is not worth the money, not worth the money. So why not give someone else a chance to, be a little bit more like President Trump and have a pride in what they're building, right? And give us better quality materials, give us lasting structures that are something we can be proud of, that we can be in awe of. Because I don't know about you, but when I see beautiful buildings and beautiful towns and tidy town, we call it in Ireland, when you go into these towns that are just so magnificent, there's flowers hanging and all of that. You know what? It's better than any kind of mental health medication. It's just it makes you happy. It's so soothing. It's so reassuring. It's just healthy. It's very healthy to live in beautiful places like this, right? Um, y- you know, that's why I like to garden. You want to have these um, beautiful places and beautiful structures. And when you have someone that gives you toxic materials and places that break down easy and are not good quality, and the windows don't close right, and the doors get broken, and they just start to disintegrate, just a few years after they're built, go away, go away. We don't want your kind of construction. We don't want your kind of construction. And the thing is we pay way over budget in these government contracts, especially when it comes to our military installations. So, we're very happy to have President Trump to be able to call this out, to be able to recognize it. And, it was in El Paso. It was in El Paso at Bassett Middle School, where I took my drafting. I was always into architecture and everything. I took drafting there in El Paso. Um, it's just something that I've really, really loved all my life. Um, yeah, and getting into Richard and what he liked, of course, with his music, of course, with his karate, of course, when he was 15, he did the the college something exam, whatever, the CLEP. He clept out of six college, yeah, college um, college credits, and also German. He did wonderful, passed, just like in one shot. It was like we went there one day and he took those exams. Of course, he studied beforehand, um, and he passed them. And it's just was just really, really amazing. We're so proud of him. And of course, when he joined the military and took the test, he scored beautifully. He was any sergeant's dream, and the army's dream. The army spends millions of dollars to recruit young men like Richard. Okay, millions of dollars, that they can uh, absolutely turn into leaders also. And so all of the smearing that they did, that the military did to Richard, it just tells you one thing, that Richard was whistleblowing, that he was a threat to their corruption, that they had compromised with the cartels, with the criminal trafficking, um, and they had to silence him. That they were smuggling weapons, and they were probably yeah, well, we know that whoever was doing the whole Walmart mass shooting was also involved in taking Richard's life. So those two are very connected. And so they were up to no good. They were absolutely up to no good. And instead of doing their job and being happy they have this wonderful young man, they destroyed him. They went out to destroy, just to destroy him. And they didn't succeed, though. You know, you can take the body, but you cannot take the spirit. And his spirit is just shouting out everywhere, right? His spirit's just shouting out everywhere, and he's victorious. And you see that with President Trump's um, beautiful, beautiful letters that he wrote to us recently, and just pouring praise on Richard, which absolutely now shames all of, and really, I think it indicts them. You know, it indicts them, it implicates them. I can say that it implicates the whole chain of command in the crimes against our son, from what Bob Moore did with Manny Chavira with A&R Chavira Auto Group, in collaboration with Boleyn and Jesus Melendez, and Officer Jesus Melendez. He was that K9 cop, right? With Carzoli, trying to frame Richard to discredit him and his whistleblowing reports that were so damning to all of them. Um, you know, that whole thing, Jesus Melendez connects again, Richard, to the Walmart mass shooting case, because his he's the brother-in-law, right? He's the brother-in-law. He's family with David Johnson, one of the victims. Okay. Um, there's a lot of questions surrounding all of that, because we know that Jesus Melendez and his connections are, you know, just really bad. They're really bad, y'all. It's really bad connections, you know. And he's not the only one. He's not the only one with those really bad connections in that family. So, him targeting Richard confirms that there is the same group that orchestrated the Walmart mass shooting, and also the hit on Richard are the same. They're the same group. And of course, the officer Carzoli and his connections, wowzer, wowzer, you know, and he's up to no good, right? He's up to no good. You thought that the connections with Melendez were like shocking. Carzoli is like double shocking, and that, you know, uh, it really, there's an infiltration in the El Paso Police Department that has reached over to the FBI with Connell Witten, right? With Connell Witten, Jesus, Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr., and of course, George Torres. George Torres's connection with Texas Tech University Health Science Center. It all, you know, all this funding and all of these connections, absolutely pieced together, um, explain this criminal network and how they became so embedded, infiltrated into our system, that they could get away with billion-dollar crimes. Okay, these are billion-dollar crimes. So hundreds of thousands of children, right, being trafficked through Fort Bliss. Fort Bliss. uh, yeah, Veronica Escobar, and connected to Woody Hunt. I think that they need to go away. I think they need to go away. I think redistricting needs to happen, right? Um, and and I'm not too happy with Gonzales, right? Because Gonzales was given prosecution, investigation, and prosecution on a platter by the Yvonne Rosales administration, and he didn't take it. He didn't take it. So what happened, right? Was he just all air? Was he all just talk as a politician? So that explains all of that. I hope I hit all the points that I wanted to. I did it just right off the top of my head, because things are just happening so quick. And I know as soon as I go off, I'll say, oh, I wanted to tell them this. But the main part that we want to tell you is thank you so much for coming on, even when we're on at 1:40 a.m., when we're past burning the midnight oil. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for we really love you. Rob always has said, tell them we love you because this is a government by the people, of the people, for the people. And you're running the show. You're running the show. You know, you uh, people think that President Trump is running the show, but he's not. Remember how he went out and did rally and rally and rally and rally? Why? Because you run the show. We run the show. They work for us. We are a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And we have to realize that kind of power that we have. The amount of money that goes into propaganda, the amount of money that goes into rallies, the amount of money that goes into fake news to try to tamper with investigations in the minds of people, because we're running the show. We're running the show. And so we're so happy that you want to run the show and support us and support our son and to get justice for him and help us find his remains, that is trapped in all of this bureaucratic, political, criminal cover up. And yeah, and get accountability. I probably already said that, but absolutely. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back on tomorrow, God willing.